Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to Monday's show. It's another launch of another week here at Movies TV Mad, and you are very welcome. I woke up this morning and realised something that I hadn't realised before, that I should have realised. The release of the Flash movie will coincide with the 10-year anniversary of Man of Steel and the dceu. I can't believe I didn't realise that. So the release of the Flash movie, if they stick to this date, and I think they will, now I've kind of realised what it is and what it means, that release date, they should and will hopefully stick to that date. It's a bit too late to make a Man of Steel sequel to properly celebrate that date, but the Flash movie is a celebration of Man of Steel and the dceu, and the Snyderverse, if you like. Now, the Flash movie has a lot of Man of Steel Easter eggs within it. Unfortunately, Walter Hamada had a different idea of celebration and anniversary than I do. You know, having Zod murder Henry Cavill's Superman as a baby in Flashpoint isn't really a way of celebrating Superman, Henry Cavill's Superman, Man of Steel, the Snyderverse, and of course the dceu. It's amazing that the dceu will even exist 10 years after its birth, after all the controversies and the behind-the-scenes shenanigans. This franchise simply shouldn't survive. There's better TV shows that didn't last very long. So it's very interesting. But you know what? The dceu is both bad and good, a success and a failure, all in one little round ball. You know, for me, Man of Steel is one of the best comic book movies ever made. The same with BVS, the same with Zack Snyder's Justice League, the same with Wonder Woman. And then you've got some really good movies as well, like Aquaman and Shazam. And then if you go beyond the dceu, you look at Joker movie and the Batman movie. You know, that's a lot of great movies. We're talking about art here. We're talking about great filmmaking and cinematography, something the MCU doesn't have. All the MCU has over the dceu is interactions, cameos, Easter eggs, and the multitude of billion-dollar movies. For me, that's nothing to celebrate. I'd rather celebrate the dceu next June when the Flash movie is released, for making some of the greatest comic book movies of all time. Now, that may not be your facts, that may not be your opinion, but it's mine, it's my channel, it's my gob, and I'll have the opinion I want to have. Now, if you disagree with that opinion, you can comment down below constructively and we can have a discussion. Now, if you're here on the premiere, if you watch the premieres of my videos, I'm here watching this at the same time and waiting for your comments and your requests, you know, to chat. So you can ask me anything about the entertainment industry, especially DC and the dceu. If you're watching this premiere live, don't waste that opportunity. But going back to the subject at hand, you know, the Flash movie, as I say, coincides with the 10-year anniversary of the dceu, and I want that to be a celebration. I'm even more excited now for the release of the Flash movie, actually realising something I should have realised already. So can David Zaslav turn this around? Because as I've already said, Walter Hamada's idea of killing Superman as a baby isn't really a celebration of everything that's come before. That's a studio trying to fix things, but fix things the cheap and nasty way. The truth of the matter is, you can't hijack somebody else's franchise, make it something else, and then it automatically being successful. They tried this with Justice League, and they were going to try this again with the Flash movie. So, most importantly, Henry Cavill has got to be in this Flash movie. Ben Affleck is already in this Flash movie. Aquaman is already in this Flash movie. Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, Diana Prince, is also in this movie. And of course, the only person from the Justice League at this moment in time is Ray Fisher's Cyborg. Whether you like or love or loathe Ray, he's a great cyborg. His performance should have, it should have at least nominated him for some kind of award. It was sensational. He was the heart of the Snyder Cut. And the plan originally was for the Flash movie for Cyborg and the Flash to go on this, bro dude adventure together, or to be good mates at least in the DCEU portion of the movie before he enacts Flashpoint. And because of his civil war with Warner Brothers and Hamada and Johns and all of those people, he quit the movie. Now, I don't know, was he fired? Did he quit? He refused to work with the DCU as long as Walter Hamada was the DC Films president. That's going to come to the end, fingers crossed, in October. What worries me about Hamada still being there, if they continue to struggle to find a DC Studios president, Hamada may get the job by default. That really scares me. Now, that shouldn't happen, but this is WB, and, this would be part of the DC fucking curse, wouldn't it? So let's hope that's not happen. That's not going to happen. I don't think it will, but, I'm a bit paranoid, and I do have this, this worry, this fear about that happening. So let's hope that doesn't happen. So Ray Fisher and Henry Cavill must be in the Flash movie. It's so important that the entirety of this Justice League they built up is in this movie. Now, if they are going to totally embrace the Snyderverse, it's obvious that the Flash movie's got to continue from Zack Snyder's Justice League. It does in a way. One of the other reasons I think Cavill's not involved in the Flash movie is because, what do? Black suit, red and blue suit. It's a difficult situation. Of course, you can do red and blue suit if you say it's a time jump, and a lot of things have happened. And then you can, if you decide to bring Snyder back, you can let him deal with it. And it's kind of a prequel thing rather than a present-day DCEU problem. But these are the kind of decisions, of course, they have to make. If Henry Cavill's Superman is going to be part of the Flash movie and is part of this celebration of 10 years of the DCEU, they have to make this decision. Do you continue with the black suit? Do you continue with the blue and red suit? I think most people would love to see him in the blue and red suit, but Snyderverse stands would want to see him in the black suit. Here's the problem. And, I think if you have him in the black suit, it's less of a celebration of the character and the anniversary of the DCEU, in my opinion. Look, these are the difficult situations that they've got to make over there at Warner Brothers Discovery and the newly formed DC Studios. And, we still don't have a president of those newly formed studios. So these are the things that have to be decided. These are the things that Alan Horn and David Zaslav are discussing every single minute, every single hour, every single second of the day as we think about them as well. So I don't know how you fix that mess. Luckily, it's not my problem. It's a difficult situation. That's why I keep on saying, if it were me and I came in cold as the president of DC Studios, I'd say, don't release these movies, just start a fucking game. Because it is a messy situation. It is a complicated situation. Now, if these are films, if these are films that Zaslav doesn't care about, he can just release them, bring in the bacon for them, then move on. And it doesn't matter what's going on and who's in it. I think we're pretty sure that Henry Cavill will play some part in the short-term future of the DCEU. And look, I don't know what they're going to do, what Zaslav's thinking here. Does he continue the DCEU? Does he cancel it and, create a reset? I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. All I can tell you is what I would do and what I think they're going to do. I think that it will be a reset, but I could be absolutely wrong about this. The most difficult thing to do is to continue the DCEU. But the DCEU is a bit like James Bond. It's indestructible no matter how bad it gets, how bad the box office gets, how bad the critical the critical reactions and the reactions of the public are. The DCEU keeps on plodding along. It's amazing, really. But now we have a man in David Zaslav who wants results, wants to make real money. He expects the DC live-action universe to deliver. And if it doesn't, heads are going to roll. So, as I say, I don't know what's going to happen here. Now, you the fans keep on telling me, you think this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this one's coming back. The truth is, we're all in the fucking dark over the future of DC live action and the DCEU. And we've discussed this, He can release these 4 movies as a buffer until he creates this 10-year plan into a thing. And with the Joker sequel and the Batman sequel, all these things could, could be a buffer until they set a brand new course for DC live action. But I do feel that it's important, if we are continuing with the DCEU, when they release the Flash movie next June, it is a celebration of the DCEU. Because the DCEU has a lot to celebrate. It does. Because a lot of the films, especially Snyder's portion of the films, are really fucking good. They really are. Now, not everyone will agree with that, but for me, it is something. There is something to beholden within the DCEU. There is something beautifully, historically, artistic. This guy Snyder really pushed the envelope with these movies. And I've really shouted out Man of Steel, BVS, Wonder Woman, Zack Snyder's Justice League. These are beautifully shot, beautifully written movies, and they are absolutely unique, and they're absolutely taking the superhero genre seriously. And that's the beautiful thing about those movies. So the DCEU isn't all bad. There's some wonderful movies, better movies than anything Kevin Feige and the MCU have done. And let's look at BVS. BVS and the announcement of BVS shook Kevin Feige, the MCU and Marvel Studios to its very core. Kevin Feige has already admitted that the only reason Captain America Civil War happened was because BVS was announced. Well, BVS wasn't just the inspiration for Captain America Civil War. Captain America Civil War is Batman versus Superman, with the MCU twists and turns in it and the humour. It's exactly the same fucking movie. They ripped it off, they found out what Snyder was doing, and they copied it. It's as simple as that. This is who Kevin Feige is. He hasn't ever had an original idea in his life, and now he knows all he has to do is put up that MCU logo, and these shills, these fools and these idiots will watch absolutely anything. And they are the facts. Still to come on today's show, James Gunn says that Harley Quinn, aka Margot Robbie, will return to the DCEU. James Gunn is ultra confident that he will continue on working at the DCEU under David Zaslav. That's a very interesting and bold statement. He keeps on being asked questions by his fans. So recently he was asked if Margot Robbie will return as Harley Quinn in the DCEU. He merely said yes. He was also asked if he's going to make a sequel to his Suicide Squad movie. He said not yet. He's got other stuff to do. Now, we already know that Hamada and Emmerich decided that James Gunn's Suicide Squad universe should be part of the streaming idea for the DCEU, part of HBO Max. And Gunn agreed with this. He started saying stuff like, oh, I really like streaming. In a lot of ways, I prefer it to, movies made for the theatre. Yes, because what happened was the Suicide Squad was a flop for whatever reason, and that shook him and his confidence, and WB's confidence as well. They said, fuck this, we made a lot of money on streaming with the Suicide Squad, but cinematically, it simply didn't put butts in seats. And I went to the cinema to see this film. I saw a test screening of this film. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the test screening, and I enjoyed, I actually was sitting in the cinema during the pandemic on my own. There was no one else in the fucking theatre, and I loved it. And people say, oh yeah, but you missed that reaction from the crowd. I couldn't give a shit. I don't want some geezer shoveling popcorn in his mouth while I'm trying to watch a fucking movie, right? So it's great. I'm a lone pigeon. I like my own company. I love experiencing things on my own. Yes, I'm a weirdo. I'm proud to be a weirdo. You can pigeonhole me as a loser, a weirdo, or a freak. I don't care. That's me. Someone has to be these things, right? Why not me? I'm still a great lover. I still have a great life and I live in a great place as well. So yeah, congratulations to me. So I loved watching James Gunn's The Suicide Squad in a theatre, in an Odeon, all on my own. Here in Cyprus as well. So that was, that was a great movie that didn't make any money. Unfortunately, it was during the peak of the pandemic as well. So they decided to focus on his Suicide Squad universe on HBO Max, on streaming. Now, be interesting what's going to happen with James Gunn's, Suicide Squad franchise in terms of what David Zaslav is thinking here, because he wants to embrace the movie theatre. He doesn't want to spend a lot of money on streaming. Now, I'm sure he'll be happy to have some DCEU television series like Peacemaker on HBO Max. I'm sure he'll be fine with that as long as it doesn't cost too much money. And Peacemaker looked expensive to me in certain elements, but then looks cheap, in the right way cheap, in other elements. So, look, James Gunn is good at what he does, This is not Francis Ford Coppola or James Cameron or anything, but I like James Gunn because he's very transparent. In a lot of ways, he's typical of Hollywood. He has got the attitudes that I don't like from Hollywood, but I do like him because he is transparent. He doesn't readily block you. And, I could have easily been blocked, by him by now, from him by now, because I'm very overly opinionated and my opinions are very controversial. But I speak the truth about Hollywood. And if Hollywood can't handle that, that's their fucking problem. So, yes, James Gunn has said he's not making a Suicide Squad sequel at this moment in time. I don't think it's even been greenlit. I think if it was up to him, maybe he would. But he's got other plans within DC. I don't know what those plans are. And I don't know if those plans will change now that, since this merger, since David Zaslav has come in. We'll have to wait and see what James Gunn's future role at DC will be. But he claims Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn will be back. Well, a lot of people have assumed that means James Gunn's bringing her into Peacemaker Season 2 or another of his projects. How about this? How about he doesn't have a clue if he can bring Margot Robbie back as Harley Quinn yet, but he knows either she's going to cameo in Black Adam, the Flash movie, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, one of these movies, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It's more than likely she's going to cameo in one or many of these 4 upcoming DCEU movies that could be the 4 final DCEU movies ever made. So I think that's what he means, rather than him confirming that he's bringing her back to his universe. Because right now, I know there's an Amanda Waller show coming up, but we don't know if that's happening under Zaslav. So right now, all he's doing is Peacemaker Season 2. She'll probably show up in that, and she'll probably cameo in some or one of these upcoming, 4 of these upcoming DCEU movies. So I think that's a very interesting thing to look out for, how we see Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. Again, because, things are changing. There's a DC Studios coming. There's a new president of DC Studios coming. Things will change. James Gunn's future will depend on what happens to the DCEU, whether the DCEU stays or goes. Normally with DCEU movies, I'm very good at making box office projections, although the last time a DCEU movie was released in the movie theatre, not a DC movie, not the Batman, but a DCEU movie, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, I was saying, James Gunn, baby, $1 billion, foregone conclusion. Not even the pandemic can stop this. Because I'd seen the test screening and I was very confident about it. I got it wrong. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad was a flop. That shocked me, that depressed me to my very core, because I couldn't believe it, that people didn't come out to support this movie. But they didn't. Was it because of the pandemic? Partially. Was it because of the accusations made at James Gunn when he was fired from Disney? When we talk about children and things like that, and someone joking about children, being abused and stuff like that, it's not it's not something people are going to appreciate. Let's be honest about that. Now, I've been very quiet about what was exposed about James because I don't really want to get into it. Because even though I've been very verbal about what Ezra Miller's done, in terms of James, he joked about something. Now, it's not a very good thing to joke about. It isn't funny, but he didn't do the things he was joking about. Do you get it? If he enacted in part of a crime against children, that would be something very different. So I haven't been very vocal about it. So they could be the reasons why the movie didn't do very well. Now, I've been sitting here trying to decide, make a projection for the opening weekend, or not just the opening weekend, but how the box office for Black Adam what the complete picture for that box office will be by the time it finishes its theatrical run. And I've been scratching my head, scratching it so hard it hurts from thinking. I can't make my mind up how much money complete box office Black Adam's going to make. I think this is a film that's going to go from one extreme to the other. Either it's not going to make lots of money. It's going to be a super pet situation. Now, I think even The Rock and WB knew that they didn't have, a big animated hit on their hands, but they decided to release it cinematically. I think that film was perfect for HBO Max. That's just my opinion. But, yeah, I think Black Adam will either be a big flop or a big success. It could end up being straight down the middle as well, though. It could be a 500 million, 600 million box office juggernaut. Now, is 500, 600 million good box office for a Black Adam movie? I think that's extremely good. Because this is not Top Gun Maverick. This is not Indiana Jones 5. This is a Black Adam movie. Now, The Rock's very famous, very popular, but Black Adam isn't a famous hero that you would assume people are going to rush out to watch. But we're being starved of DC live-action movies in the cinemas right now. We had The Batman, that was very successful, critically acclaimed. So that did well for us. Peacemaker did well for DC this year as well. A very celebrated series. I liked it as well. In fact, I got the box set the other day. That's how much I like it. So wouldn't it be nice and neat and tidy if Black Adam completed a really successful year for DC live action? It's been a disappointing one again behind the scenes with all these kind of postponements of movies and the controversy surrounding Ezra Miller. Hopefully all of that is behind us now, especially with Zaslav's and DC Studios' 10-year plan, which I think next year will be a thing. And as I said earlier, if we don't hear of another DCEU movie being greenlit by the end of this year, I will definitely confirm to you that the DCEU is dead, in my opinion. So that's where we are. That's where we are with that. So, but Black Adam is a very difficult film to project a box office for because nobody knows how this is going to hit. The studio doesn't seem to be the studio's confident about it. They think it's a really good movie. They're proud of the movie. They're proud of The Rock. Because let's be clear, the marketing has nothing to do with WB. How this film was made had nothing to do with WB. All WB are going to do is distribute it. And they funded the movie, of course. It's a DC movie. They own DC. They have the rights. But this is The Rock's project. This is his passion project. There's no question about that. There's no film, there's no project that The Rock's been involved with where he's gone, oh my God, I've always wanted to make this. He loves Black Adam. He loves the history of Black Adam. He's a huge Superman fan as well. We can see he's a Man of Steel fan by the Man of Steel Easter egg he's put in this movie, which I think is great and beautiful. And I've thanked him for that on Twitter because I appreciate things like that. So this is a big deal for The Rock, and I think it would break his heart if this film is a failure. But it's very, very difficult to project what kind of box office this film's going to do. But one thing I can say for sure, this is a film that has huge DCEU connections. there will be a lot of connections in this film connected to the DCEU. Now, the most surprising connections are to James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Now, when I first found this out from one way or the other, I was very surprised about this, because if you're thinking about connections, you're thinking about kind of superheroic connections, Superman, you know, people like that, Shazam. But to be connected to the Suicide Squad universe of the DCEU is a bit strange. When you see the film, you'll understand why. So one thing for sure we already know, that Amanda Waller, aka Viola Davis, will be in this movie. In fact, it's her that, you know, recruits the JSA to deal with Black Adam. So, as I say, there's a lot of DCEU connectivity, especially with James Gunn's Suicide Squad universe. And I think any DC Extended Universe that wants to be connected needs Waller to cameo in a lot of films and be behind the many nefarious activities that go on within this DC Extended Universe. This is a very good idea. And, you know, The Rock and his people and Hamada, credit to Hamada, there was going to be more connectivity. It was going to be a more expansive extended universe under Hamada, and we'll never know if what he was planning was going to be successful. But I've also been told that apparently maybe Viola Davis's introduction or inclusion into this film wasn't a Hamada decision, and it may have been a Zaslav and Alan Horn decision. I don't know. We'll never know. But certainly having her in there, and we know originally that James Gunn's wife, who plays Amelia Harcourt, is supposed to be in this film. She's in the film with Task Force X to imprison and trap Black Adam. We don't know if that's still a thing or if they're deleting that from the film. So what I can say is, with great confidence, I'm not confident about the box office one way or the other. I don't know where this is going to go, because I can say to you that I like this film. But are you going to like this film? Are millions and millions of people around the world going to flock cinemas, watch this film, and like this film? I don't know. Either way, I can't give you the answer to that question either way. This is a very unpredictable film in terms of box office and audience and critical reactions. But the connections to the DCEU, especially James Gunn's Suicide Squad, are very interesting and very exciting. And as I keep on saying, I can't wait to go to the cinema and actually see this film. I can't wait for your reactions to this film. I can't wait to do the non-spoiler review and then the spoiler review with you guys. And as I say, when I'm doing a premiere, make sure to interact. Because yes, I used to do live videos, and I know you guys miss the live videos, but my internet, my broadband here is very insecure. I can no longer do live videos. The quality of the videos are not good enough. You won't be able to see me or hear what I'm saying at times, so I can't do it. So the way we can interact is over on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and when I do my live premieres. Talk to me, ask me questions, I'll respond to you, and that's how we're going to interact from now on. This has been Movies TV Mad with Monday's show with me, Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wife. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.